Hermit Ducks, it's Simon here. Welcome back to the Hermit's Cave. So I'm really excited to share this deck with you. I haven't opened it yet, and a little bit of a backstory. So I think about the beginning of December, I received an email from the lovely Vivian Stewart Jones, who said that she'd been working on a tarot deck called the Lovely Day Tarot, and she would like to send it to me for the purpose of review. And she explained that she'd been working on this deck in total secrecy. I think she said there was only 2 people other than herself who was aware of that. I think it was a family member and a friend. And it had been a closely guarded secret until she was ready in October, so a few months ago now, to pop it onto Kickstarter. Now, Vivian herself says that, you know, she doesn't know much about social media and the social media marketing side of it. So it wasn't funded on Kickstarter. However, I will link the website below so you can follow the progress and how these decks are going to become available. If Vivian decides to do a Kickstarter again, I would wholeheartedly promote this deck because it is beautiful, and I just feel that this deck really needs to be out there. It's her second deck. I don't know the name of the first deck. She didn't share that with me, but I know it was over 20 years ago and there was only 100 copies. But yeah, so this is her second tarot deck. Now, when I first saw the images, so she sent me, when she reached out and said, could I share this deck with you? I looked at some of the images, and on first glance, it reminded me the art style of the Roots and Wings Oracle, and I thought, absolutely, because I think it will pair lovely with that deck. There's just something about the art style that reminded me of that. Oh, the box and everything is gorgeous. Let's pop the rubbish away. Now, the guidebook is in PDF format. Oops, if I can get rid of that. As you can see here, I'm not going to share the whole images because obviously with a guidebook that's PDF, it's something that you'll get when you purchase the deck. However, Vivian did mention in a letter that she sent to me, which came with the deck, to share my thoughts on PDFs. And if I'm honest, I will always say that I would prefer a physical copy of a book. That's just me, you know. I did have a Kindle. I found I wasn't using it. Give me a physical copy of a book any day. However, you know, it's handy to be able just to flick through and go to certain images. So just before we take a look at this deck, I wanted to read the introduction to the guidebook because I think it's written beautifully, and it gives sort of the premise, if you like, of what the deck is about. It's a UK publisher as well. Vivian is in the UK. So it says, to quote the words of the late great Mama Cass, play your own kind of music, sing your own special song. And immediately I was drawn in because that is one of my all-time favourite songs, Mama Cass, Be Your Own Kind of Music. And make these cards what you will, always looking for a lovely day. Art is about perception and tarot about interpretation. So that's really interesting. And what this deck does as well, it really gets you to think about the tarot, because when you first look at it, it's very soft in its colour, and you know, it's nature based. There's lots of woodlands and flowers and animals, but it's not fluffy at all. There is a lovely balance between light and shadow within this deck. So I think, you know, this deck does push boundaries, and it does give you some alternative perspectives to look at, particularly cards when we get to right at the beginning, like the Magician. When I saw the Magician card, I was like, now that's challenging me, because as you'll see, it's not what I would have necessarily thought of as a depiction for the magician, but it's written beautifully and explains why. So it says, the name Lovely Day came by chance, but it fits the theme of the deck perfectly. The song Lovely Day was not an inspiration for the name, although the words from it are poignant. When I look at you, I know it's going to be a lovely day, which is exactly what I want to convey when you consult this tarot deck. And of course, sadly, the wonderful Bill Withers died recently. As I write this in 2021, we are still enjoying difficult times and coming to terms with a lot of change. Many of us have formed new values and some have found freedom. I hope all readers of this deck will look at the bright, colourful cards, and no matter whether the layout selected bodes well or not, will see beyond it and grasp the moment of happiness within to help them through any troubles. Every bad thing has something good hidden within the experience and offers guidance too. Excuse me. 2020 was a very significant year for the entire world, and like so many of you, I finally had time to expand my creative interests and finish the Lovely Day tarot deck. Inspiration came in many forms, including long daily walks in the woods, enjoying wildlife and wild flowers. The pandemic had a profound effect on so many normal life events, and I wanted to include these in one way or another without agenda, bias, or expressing personal opinions. Poppies are in abundance throughout the deck, not only because they are beautiful, deeply symbolic, and that we seem to have so many this year in England, but I also wanted to acknowledge the changes to the Remembrance Day COVID-19 brought in 2020, where many with a mind to were unable to show their gratitude to the fallen in the ceremonies and in ways they always have. Poppies portray darker meanings too in some of the cards. Black Lives Matter and LGBT movements were particularly newsworthy, especially transgender acceptance, and the first same-sex couples competed in Britain's most popular dance competition television shows. So I wanted to discreetly allude to our changing attitudes and growing acceptance with a deck that embraces people of all persuasions and race, again without opinion, preference or bias. This was inspired by my favourite forest sleeper bench, and you will see in the trans card, featured later in the guide, in more detail. Festivals and notable dates figure as well. For example, Easter, Halloween, Harvest Festival and Christmas, for the same reasons that life has been so different. The deck has no real theme, though, other than nature, spiritualism and love, along with a smattering of history and inspiration from Bible stories. However, this is not intended to be a religious deck. The meaning and intentions of this work were to create a tarot deck that looks on the bright side of even the darkest moments and to offer hope and hopefully the ability to see beauty in everything. However, Lovely Day Tarot is not for the faint-hearted. I emphasize positivity, not delusion. Life tends to come out of left field, and so does Lovely Day Tarot. A lot of the images are quite different to traditional tarot cards, and I hope they will be strong enough to prompt readers of all abilities to offer some new insights to those with experience. This guide is to help you tap into your own intuition and add your own interpretations. Lovely Day Tarot cards are from my original watercolour paintings. All 84 are fully illustrated, and there are 6 more than the traditional tarot. The deck is a vibrant, light, bright alternative perspective, embracing the beauty of the world, nature and wildlife, love, light, and the search for happiness and hope. All credits go to Lou Reed for the phrases quoted from Walk on the Wild Side and Perfect Day songs used in 2 cards, and to Billy Argel for the Lovely Day font, with many thanks and much appreciation. Thank you for being here. I hope you derive as much pleasure from using this deck as I did creating it. Vivian J. Stewart Jones, October 2021. So I just wanted to share that because it gives you the kind of thought process, the inspiration behind the deck, etc. So let's dive in. So it says created and illustrated by Vivian J. Stewart Jones. It's a beautiful box. We've got this beautiful watercolor, flowers, bumblebees, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries. It's just gorgeous. And yeah, so it says 86 fully illustrated cards. Now from memory, I think there are alternative cards for 3 and then 3 new cards. It opens like a knife, hot knife through butter. That is beautiful. It's not stiff at all. Very sturdy box, as you can hear there. We get a certificate of authenticity, which says Lovely Day Tarot. And this is to certify that this Lovely Day Tarot deck is an authentic first edition print authorized by me, the creator and illustrator. So, and then it goes on, but that's a nice little certificate of authenticity, which I always find them really helpful because, you know, there's lots of plagiarism out there and artistic theft and, you know, it's awful. So getting something like that is really useful. But look at these cards. It's a lovely, the card quality is exceptional. So yeah, I'll just pop the certificate in there. And then we get the title card, Lovely Day Tarot 2021. Just look at that, the little hummingbird, the mouse. Oh, just gorgeous. I'll hold it up so you can see it. Cardstock is really nice. These are the backs, and I think these backs are just beautiful. Really, really beautiful. I don't know if I've got the light quite right here. Yeah, just lovely. In terms of size, I think it's a standard tarot size. Yes, absolutely. So it's a generous size. US games are larger than kind of like Llewellyn, Los Scarabäos. That's a nice tarot size and nice thick. I'd say 330 GSM if I'm thinking correctly. So they do have a small border, or a narrow border I should say, which is white, which complements it really nicely. Because of the cardstock, this is a beautiful white edge. You know, it's not a grey card that you get. It's lovely and smooth and white, and it just sets it off really nicely. It's a thick deck because the cardstock is really good. So what I'm going to do, as always, is I'm going to pull the camera down. We will have a flip through of all the cards, and then I will come back at the end and share my thoughts. So there you are. Isn't this a beautiful, beautiful deck? I love it as much as I thought I would. You know, you see sometimes some images that are sent to you by creators and you think, yeah, this is going to be great. But I love everything about this. I think the backs are just gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. The cardstock, I didn't mention earlier, there's a lovely silky finish. They're not glossy, but it's one of those decks that has that silent, glidey feel to them. Oh, and it's just beautiful. I love everything about the quality of this deck. I love the use of colour, the vibrancy of the reds, and there's lots of subtle colours in this as well. But again, not to be confused, I think sometimes when we see beautiful images that are very subtle, we think the deck is going to be subtle as well. And this deck, as I mentioned, I think has a great balance between light and shadow. And as I mentioned, you know, it makes you think, because what Vivian has done here is given us some alternative perspectives, to contemplate when reading. Not so much as the Magician. You know, when I first saw this, I thought, oh, the Empress is in the Magician. Is it one of those decks where things have moved about? But it's not. We've got a beautiful Empress here as this sunflower. So I'll just read from the guidebook for the Magician as to why it's depicted. And what this guidebook does brilliantly is you get your upright and reverse meanings, but you get keywords. You also get associations. So if you can see here, we've got the element of air, the planet is Mercury, and the astrological ruler is Gemini. But then we get the description, and you've heard me say so many times, I love it when creators put descriptions for the cards, particularly if there's a change or, you know, a different nuance or a different perspective. I always like to read why the creator have depicted the archetypes in the way that they do. So here it says, Mother Earth usually conjures up the Empress in the tarot, but she is much more than motherhood, procreation, or femininity, and more about the miracle of creation, evolution, and the sheer magic of nature. As the saying goes, a fickle bitch she can be, often blamed for chaos in the world, extreme weather conditions, earthquakes and disasters. But these are the darker counterbalance to the incredible wonders we take for granted regarding our world and life every day. The earth is awe-inspiring and beautiful, but we continue to abuse it. And I really like that, you know, the magic of the earth around us. I mean, it is, you know, magical. I often say we should just appreciate the magic in the mundane, you know, particularly when we go to places that we see every day. Things disappear from our sight, and we just need to open our eyes more and just see the beauty of the world in which we inhabit. So I really love this as the Magician card. Beautiful High Priestess, gorgeous. And this symbolism here, as I said, there are references to religious texts, but it's not a religious deck. So we have the hill here with the 3 crosses on there. Just look at it, the butterflies, the bee, fruit, flowers, a little mouse, gorgeous. I love, there's quite a few tree people in this deck, and here we have our Hierophant. I love that we've got these 2 little kind of like koi here, almost making like a yin and yang symbol. Let's see what it says about the Hierophant. So for the Hierophant, an ancient spiritual wise tree man at the waterside with a rosary caught up in his gnarled twigged fingers. Rosary? I can't see his gnarled twigged fingers. Let me have a closer look. Ah, the rosary is here, right in front of me. I was just looking for his hands, but I see that, the rosary there. This is a twigged finger, okay. Conjures with playful square. Start that again. An ancient spiritual wise tree man at the waterside with a rosary caught up in his gnarled twigged fingers communes with playful squirrels. Two fish leap up from the water. These are a nod to the fisherman's ring worn by every pope, engraved with St. Peter casting his nets to show that this is a religious or spiritual teacher. However, he is not necessarily a Catholic, but rather represents someone who may embrace all faiths, beliefs, and ancient knowledge. The Hierophant is one of the 3 pillar cards. I can't think of a better lover's card. I think that is so beautiful. And, you know, they have each other, you know, their trunks are intertwined. Now, there's there's the legend, isn't there, that the elephant, being a huge animal, is terrified of a little mouse. But the mouse is looking on. They're not fazed by that at all. They've got each other. They're safe together. The Chariot is gorgeous. The Hermit and the Death card are quite different. You know, there's these darker elements here, but, you know, that's what the Hermit is about, you know, illuminating in the darkness with his lamp here. The Wheel of Fortune, we've got yin and yang. We've got this penny farthing bike here, bicycle, penny farthing, and that appears as well in the World card, which is interesting. I like the correlation between the wheel and the World card. Again, we've got, it's very Jesus looking, but, you know, it's part of this tree. But we've got the nail here. We've got the crown of thorns and a beautiful, beautiful robin. What's the robin symbolizing? I seem to recall a robin for... There are so many ways to interpret strength. And I think there is an alternative for strength as well. So if you don't like this image, there is an alternative with this deck. Physical, of course, mental, moral, spiritual, and the strength of sacrifice and belief, to name but a few. Let's see if I can find the bit about here, the robin. The robin is said to have got his red breast trying to ease Jesus' suffering on the cross by plucking a thorn from the crown out of the poor dying man's forehead. As the robin did this, drops of Jesus' blood stained his feathers, and until the end of time, the saying goes, robins will have bright red breasts. I do recall that now. So the alternative strength card is this one, which is the Lamb and the Lion, which is beautiful. And actually, I think I prefer the Lamb and the Lion. Again, there is a religious reference here, you know, in the paradise forever world, the Lamb and the Lion shall lie down together without any air. So I'm going to pop that one there, and I'm going to have that one. And then we have the Hanged Man, again, another tree man, and he's actually with his twigged fingers holding somebody upside down here. The Death card is really interesting. Temperance. I'm not going to go through them all because I've just done a flick through. I love this Devil card. I really like it. It's outside, it's very sort of Victorian era. So it's outside a public house. We've got an old gas lamp. It's called the Serpent and the Apple. Serpent and the Apple, you get the reference with being tempted. And you can see here, without the devil's tail, it's just a couple dancing. Have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Name that film. But you can see his forked tail here. And interestingly, we've got a cat and mouse, which is such a brilliant representation here. But there is an alternative. I don't think there's much of a difference. So let's find the alternative. Here we go. So that's one and that's the other. We've got the moon more prevalent here. I guess it's just a different era. This feels like more 1920s. They're both nice. I don't know which one I prefer. I think I'm going to stick with that one. We have our Tower card, which I love. I love Tower cards that are trees. We've got these flames here. The lightning is striking. We've got a bat and an owl rather than humans falling. We've got a squirrel running down the tree. A couple of squirrels, actually, one each side. The star. The moon, the star, moon and sun card really complement each other in the art style. I love this. We've still got the dogs. I'll just refer to them as dogs. We've got the crayfish here, the lobster. We've got the two towers. But we've got this beautiful moon gazing here with the moon, but just reaching up and smelling the strawberry there. Really gorgeous card. And then we have the Judgment card. Now there is an alternative Judgment card. Where's the, yeah, so Atonement. So you can have Judgment or Atonement. Again, we've got this tree. And it's almost, that's kind of like justice, really, with the feather. But it's not, because the Judgment is, you know, was it marked where the heart and the feather is kind of weighed up at the point of death. For your next life. I think this Judgment card is nice. There's these beautiful daffodils, but I'm not quite sure how that's speaking judgment. Let's have a quick look at the Judgment card. Okay, where are we? Judgment. The trumpet, this is this one. So we've got the musical notes, which represents the trumpet call of God. A host of bright daffodils fluttering and dancing in the breeze make the call here, inspired by the immense displays of these beautiful flowers everywhere now, and my love of them. They never fail to make me smile. And the wonderful William Wordsworth poem, I wandered lonely as a cloud. And then I'm going to just quickly read the alternative one, which is Atonement. So let's find Atonement. Osiris was the ancient Egyptian god of the dead and resurrection into eternal life. So it wasn't marked. He was also ruler, protector, and judge of the deceased. Anubis, that's it, the jackal-headed god, presided over the embalming process and accompanied the dead into the underworld. When the dead were judged by Osiris, Anubis placed their hearts on one side of a scale and a feather on the other to represent Ma'at. Oh, I knew Ma'at was somewhere in there. Goddess of truth and justice. And the god Thoth recorded the result. The ancient Egyptian believed that the heart recorded the good and bad deeds of a person's life, and it was needed for judgment in the afterlife. If a person had led a good and honest life, the heart balanced with the feather, and the person was deemed worthy to live in a paradise forever. The twigged hand descends from a tree holding a branch from which a broken wooden heart and feather are suspended from each end to form a natural scale. The heart may have been broken, but this just represents the trials of life. Inquisitive squirrels look on playing around the trunk and among the pink mushrooms growing there. Ancient civilizations considered mushrooms sacred, and they did the work of the underworld, breaking down dead organic matter to give birth to something new. Inspiration for the heart came from the pretty carved wooden hearts I see hanging from burial posts in the woodlands. Atonement is an extra card to which you can apply your own particular interpretation of the word or use for those given for the Judgment card. So you can actually, you don't have to replace Judgment with the Atonement card. It's worded differently, so you can have it as an alternative, which I think I'm going to do. So here again we have the world, this beautiful world. It's like done like an atlas with all the kind of countries listed on there, and we've got this penny farthing again where they're making a journey around the world. We've got the some astrological symbols here, and I really think, I mean, the majors are beautiful, but I think the minors really come into their own here. It is such a gorgeous, again we've got these two kind of koi fish. How perfect for the Two of Cups, these swans, you know, swans mate for life. Just beautiful. Love this. I'm going to go a little bit quicker along because I don't want this video to be too long. The Six of Cups. And this, you know, the card of nostalgia, isn't it? But how many of us did this when we was a kid? You know, do you like butter? And you'd lift up your chin and a buttercup would be held underneath. And if there was a yellow glow on the skin from the buttercup, you say, yes, you like butter. Love it. It's beautiful. He almost looks like the same boy, just a little bit older. Just beautiful. Nine of Cups. Little scarecrow. Look at that for the Ten of Cups, the family. And all linked like this reminds me of Jungle Book. Page of Cups. Now this is my significator card, so I always pay close attention to the Page of Cups, and I think it is gorgeous. We've got these pots of paint and, you know, these beautiful flowers outside, and here it says potting shed. But, you know, we've got jobs to do and you know, artwork to create, but they're just taking time just to sit and connect. Beautiful little rabbit on his or her lap or their lap. And it's gorgeous, just really gorgeous. We all need a potting shed to take time out. This reminds me of John Lennon. I just think it's a musician, I should say. But beautiful for the King of Cups. Ace of Pentacles. Now look at that for balance. I have Two of Pentacles here. You've got not only, you know, these birds balancing on a wire, but juggling is balance, juggling these two pentacles. Riding a unicycle is balance, but riding a unicycle on a tightrope is the ultimate, isn't it? But needing to keep that concentration and keep going forward. I think it is probably the same character through a lot of the minors. Oh, look at that. Four of Pentacles. Keeping the reserves close by, you know, for when it's needed. This made me pause. It's interesting having the gravestone outside the church represented here in the Five of Pentacles, you know, because it is a card that can be representing grief and heartbreak. I love that we've got somebody, a disabled person represented as well. We often see somebody with a crutch, but, you know, this is a permanent disability. Got a Six of Pentacles. He's feeding the birds. I'm not going to start singing Feed the Birds, Tuppence a Bag. Oh, it is gorgeous. I can't wait to start working with this deck. This is a beautiful card. Look at that for the Knight of Pentacles. How stunning is that? I love the big sun in the background. Just gorgeous. Our Queen of Pentacles. So earthy and rich with nature. The King of Pentacles, we've got the pyramids. Very Egyptian feel here. Ace of Swords, we've got World War II represented. And the victory sign. Three of Swords is gorgeous, but she's being struck. And notice, you know, because it's the one we usually see, isn't it, with the pierced heart. The lightning is going straight to the heart there. She's trying to protect herself as much as she can. Gorgeous little hedgehog. Oh, I adore this deck. Look at the Six of Swords. Still on the boat, but just going with the flow. I really like this, the Nine of Swords. She's reading cards. She's got the Celtic cross spread in front of her there. Whilst this hound howls at the moon. Is that a mole coming up, or is it some sort of... I need to have a closer look at that. Yeah, it's a little mole coming up out of the ground behind her. But meditating on her reading. This Ten of Swords is a very difficult card. So it says, in loving memory of Ellen Mary Hayward, rest in peace. Ellen Mary Hayward. The name doesn't ring a bell unless it's connected to the creator in some way. Let's have a quick look at the Ten of Swords. Okay, so I'll get there in a minute. Ten of Swords. A Victorian woman in full mourning weeps at the grave surrounded by poppies for remembrance. The beautiful, vibrant red flowers try to lift the darkness of grief, and all around the woman is lovely. But the worst has already happened, and at that moment she cannot see it. Things can only get better after this. Wasps represent swords. The inscription on the headstone is a memory of my much-loved maiden, Great Aunt Nell, whom I wish to immortalise. That's beautiful. Really beautiful. And yes, you know, in those moments when your world suddenly becomes a darker place because of grief, it is hard to see the beauty around you. That comes in time. Gorgeous Page of Swords. I love this deck. Can you tell? Wow. And then we have our Wands suit. This is interesting for the Two of Wands, isn't it? You know, kind of wondering what direction to go. One goes back home, going forward, the world. Three of Wands. Christmas card for the Four of Wands with the tree and the mistletoe and the snowman putting up the fairy lights. Love this. Got a message in the bottle for the Eight of Wands. These beautiful hot air balloons. That looks like a Goldie. My stepdad used to breed Goldies. Oh, look at that for the King of Wands. So then we get some additional cards. We've got Otherworldliness. We've got a card here that says, hey babe, take a walk on the wild side. and patience, acceptance, sharing. This beautiful food table, but all different creatures. You know, you've got your squirrels, birds of all sorts, the robin, the crow, beautiful birds and wildlife, all sharing and accepting each other and being patient while the others are feeding. Gorgeous deck, really beautiful. Thank you, Vivian, for sending me this deck. I'm very honoured to be able to do a walkthrough. A couple of things to mention that Vivian mentioned is that on some of the cards where the font is hard to see, that's going to be improved. Okay, so for the edition that will be released, the text is going to be improved, and some of the images, although they seem absolutely perfect for me, will have a little bit more definition and deepening, but I didn't think there was any here that didn't have definition or need deepening, but I think it is beautiful. I love everything about it. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this deck. Yeah, just share your thoughts below, and I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, go in peace. Namaste and blessed be.